This frail-looking boy was attending his first day of school, and with just one random move, he completely stunned the school bullies. He calmly walked up to the podium and made a bold announcement to the whole class. The students immediately started whispering among themselves, while the bullies didn't even dare to look him in the eyes. Everyone had mistakenly assumed that he was a legendary figure known as Yashan Bai Hu, White Tiger of Yashan, a name that struck fear into people's hearts. But they didn't realize that the boy, whose real name was Sha Tai, only happened to share the same name by coincidence. In reality, the actual Yashan Bai Hu had already been hospitalized after being hit by none other than Sha Tai himself. As Sha Tai stood there, a curious student raised his hand. He didn't know about the whole Yashan Bai Hu rumor. One of the bullies quickly signaled him to put his hand down in panic, and seeing that no one else raised a hand, Sha Tai was left puzzled. His real intention of going on stage was simply to get beaten up. To show that he was brave, he thought that if he endured a beating, others wouldn't mess with him again. He never expected that no one would even dare to raise their hand. You see, in his previous school, Sha Tai was always bullied from kindergarten through middle school. One time in middle school, the class bully got scolded by the teacher, and afterward he dragged the laughing students into the bathroom and beat them up. Even though Sha Tai hadn't laughed, he still got pulled in and beaten too, simply because he was nearby and holding back a laugh. That was the life Sha Tai had always known, getting bullied and beaten. But why did things suddenly change when he transferred to this new school? It all started with a twist of fate. One day his parents decided to move, and on the way Sha Tai got a backache from carrying his stuff. They moved to a different city and stayed at his father's friend's house. That friend had a daughter named Zi Ying, who was around Sha Tai's age. Although she appeared gentle, she was actually terrifying. The next day, his mom asked him to go buy some rice. On the way, he made a stop at the arcade, but two little punks stole his money. Luckily, he rode his bike and escaped, or else he might have been beaten up. Meanwhile, under a bridge, some bullies from business college were ganging up on a lone student named Chen Bingtai. Yes, the real Yashan Bai Hu, who had recently moved here and was about to start school. Alone, he took down all the bullies, but little did he know that he would soon be knocked out by the powerless Sha Tai. After his fight, Chen Bingtai stood by the roadside smoking, muttering to himself as usual. At that moment, Sha Tai was speeding down the road on his bike when a foggy sanitation truck blocked his view. As he burst through the white mist, he suddenly saw a figure ahead. Despite slamming the brakes and sparking the road, he crashed straight into Chen Bingtai and rushed him to the hospital. Lying unconscious in the hospital bed, the doctors identified him as Chen Bingtai from his ID. Coincidentally, Sha Tai's full name was Li Bingtai, same pronunciation, different characters. The doctor asked how Chen Bingtai got knocked out, and Sha Tai, still confused, said he just found him lying there. The local clinic couldn't handle it, so they transferred Chen Bingtai to a bigger hospital in Seoul. The next day, rumors were buzzing on the school bus. Everyone had heard that the feared Yashan Bai Hu was transferring to their school, and that he had even beaten up the bullies from business college. They only knew his name was Bingtai, but nobody had seen his face. Yet just the name alone was enough to scare them. Coincidentally, Sha Tai was also transferring that day. The night before his transfer, his dad gave him a method to avoid being bullied. The next day, a police car dropped him off at school. The officer was their neighbor and gave him a ride. This scene was witnessed by a group of school bullies, and since the name Yashan Bai Hu was spreading like wildfire, they immediately assumed that this new student in the police car was the legend himself. The teacher introduced him as Li Bingtai, and the bullies confirmed among themselves, this must be the real deal. Sha Tai, meanwhile, returned to his seat looking terrified. But thankfully, his father had also taught him a second method to avoid getting bullied. While Sha Tai was still thinking about whether to use it, the others had already misidentified him as the legendary fighter. This brings us back to the opening scene. No bully dared to challenge him. When the school bell rang, the real boss bully, Da Chun, appeared, and his henchmen Da Zhuang and Chiang Ni hurriedly informed him that Yashan Bai Hu had transferred to their class. Da Chun was shocked, knowing that Yashan Bai Hu's reputation extended far beyond just the school scene. He told his crew to gather after school to discuss their next move. Meanwhile, Sha Tai couldn't understand what was going on. Why hadn't anyone picked on him yet? That's when Da Chun and his gang approached. Terrified, Sha Tai immediately fell to his knees to beg for mercy. But to his surprise, Da Chun and his men also knelt down before him, mistaking him for a martial arts master. Still completely confused, Sha Tai watched as Da Chun extended his hand to introduce himself and proposed a welcome ceremony after school. Sha Tai thought he was surely going to get beaten. The bullies, however, were speechless. This welcome party was meant to be a restaurant celebration, not a beatdown. When Sha Tai said he needed to use the bathroom, they misunderstood again. They had no idea his flinching and defensive movements were reflexes from years of beatings. Da Chun told him they'd be waiting at the school gate after class. Then they left, leaving Sha Tai stunned, thinking he was going to be tortured after school. When school ended, Chiang Ni and Da Zhuang came to get him. They brought him to a restaurant, made him sit at the head of the table, and even poured him a drink. Sha Tai gulped it down in one go. Maybe getting drunk would make the beating less painful. But instead, Da Chun started introducing all the gang members one by one. After the meal, they even went to a bar where Da Chun introduced him to a girl. During the conversation, Sha Tai finally realized the shocking truth. They thought he was Chen Bingtai, the same same boy he had knocked out with his bicycle. Completely stunned, Shatai debated whether to reveal the truth the next day, but decided to stay quiet. He feared that once the truth came out, his situation would only get worse. During gym class, the bullies kept giving him chances to score goals, but he got knocked down by the weakest kid in the class, Beast Monkey. Dajwang laughed and teased him, wondering how someone like Yashan Baihu could be knocked down by Beast Monkey. Maybe he was a fake? Later, Beast Monkey approached Shatai privately, saying he recognized him from the arcade, running from a bunch of little kids. Shatai panicked and denied it, knowing if the truth came out, he'd get beaten for sure. At that moment, Changni slapped Beast Monkey and told him not to question Yashan Baihu. Dajwang, however, still had doubts and decided to test Shatai. After class, he cornered him in the bathroom and offered him a cigarette. Shatai, who didn't know how to smoke, took a puff and immediately choked. Realizing he couldn't hide anymore, he was about to confess when Da Chun stormed in and beat up Dajwang for doubting the legend. After school, Beast Monkey found Shatai again and threatened to expose him unless he helped stop others from bullying him. But just as he finished speaking, he accidentally spilled milk on Dajwang and angered him. As Dajwang was about to attack Beast Monkey, Shatai instinctively grabbed his arm. He realized that if he didn't help Beast Monkey, he'd be exposed as a fraud. Dajwang noticed Shatai's sweat and confirmed his suspicion that he might not be the real Yashan Baihu. So he challenged Shatai to a one-on-one fight. Shatai, terrified, agreed. Chiang Ni pulled Dajwang aside and scolded him. How could he challenge Yashan Baihu? But deep down, Dajwang was nervous too, though he had to go through with it since he initiated the duel. After school, the fight took place at an abandoned pig farm. Beast Monkey was watching from the side but got caught and beaten by Chiang Ni and others for daring to witness the legendary duel. As that happened, Dajwang attacked Shatai. Scared to death, Shatai could only defend and endure the punches. But just when Dajwang tried to finish him with a slam move, Shatai instinctively twisted and accidentally elbowed Dajwang right in the temple. Dajwang was knocked unconscious by that sudden hit, and before Shatai could even react, Chiang Ni and the others turned around and happened to witness the scene. Shatai picked up a cigarette from the ground and took a puff, and in the eyes of Chiang Ni and his group, this confirmed even more that Shatai was the real Yashan Baihu. Since Baihu had a habit of smoking after a fight, especially when his hands were stained with blood, it made him enjoy the smoke more. The group quickly carried Dajwang away, and from that point on, the bullies no longer doubted Shatai's identity. Meanwhile, Beast Monkey was thrilled. Although he knew Shatai's secret, as long as he kept it hidden, he would no longer be bullied. The next day, Da Chun blocked Shatai at the school gate and bowed his head in apology, saying he didn't manage his subordinates well and they had challenged him without permission. To show sincerity, he invited Shatai to dinner that night, where Dajwang also showed up. Shatai, now full of righteous energy, lectured Dajwang not to bully others anymore, that he may act tough in school, but outside he was nothing. After those words, everyone respected Shatai even more, and he told Dajwang to sit down and eat, announcing that from now on, they were all brothers. At this moment, Shatai began to show his growing confidence, and his road to transformation officially started. After a few rounds of drinks, they went out for fun and coincidentally ran into students from business college trying to flirt with their school's campus belle. Normally, the business college guys bullied their school, but with Shatai, the supposed Baihu, on their side, the bullies were no longer afraid. Da Chun pushed Shatai forward and loudly announced his identity as Yashan Baihu, which scared the other guy a little, even though he held a weapon shaped like pliers. But in front of his crush, he could only force himself to act brave. Backed by many bullies, Shatai humiliated him severely and, under the influence of alcohol, even slapped him across the face. The guy fled in terror, warning that he'd come back for revenge. After rescuing the campus belle, Shatai treated her to coffee and told her she could come to him if she was ever in trouble. Afterward, he even offered to escort her home with his underlings following behind. Da Chun warned him that retaliation from business college was inevitable and suggested that now was the time to show them who really ruled the streets. Shatai brushed it off confidently, saying it was a minor issue. On the way back, Shatai and Chiang Ni saw a group of girls fighting, and Chiang Ni said that the fierce girl was none other than the infamous Black Spider, known in every school for her insane fighting skills. Shatai was shocked to realize that Black Spider was actually Ji Ying, the girl he was living with. Chiang Ni said that everyone knew her identity except her parents. Shatai came up with an idea to force Ji Ying to train him by threatening to expose her secret. That night, when Ji Ying came home, he blackmailed her, and it worked because she'd been hiding this from her parents for so long. Meanwhile, the real Yashan Baihu finally woke up in the hospital. Recapping the previous episode, Shatai had used Baihu's name to drive away thugs and even had coffee with the campus belle, telling her to use his name if she was ever in trouble. Little did he know, she took his advice seriously. The next day, the thug nicknamed Pliers showed up again and started bothering her, but she boldly invoked Shatai's name. Meanwhile, Shatai strutted confidently to school with a new hairstyle, thinking love was in the air, but his weak aura was unchanged, and he got stopped by the school security guards for looking shady. Luckily, Da Chun arrived in time to smooth things over. With his minions by his side, Shatai walked with new confidence and even drank 5 bottles of milk without sharing. But danger was looming. Pliers stormed into the school solo, beating up everyone in sight looking for Shatai. Even Da-chun was taken down instantly. The thug made his way to Shatai's classroom but couldn't find him, instead running into Chiang-ni and Da-juang, who were both defeated brutally. The truth was, Shatai was relieving himself in the mountains nearby. Pliers eventually found him hiding in the bushes and launched an attack, but Shatai, armed with a shovel, managed to block the first wave of attacks, shocking Pliers. At that moment, Da-chun and his crew arrived, and seeing Pliers flee made them admire Shatai even more. They believed Pliers got lucky by not encountering Shatai earlier. However, the real reason they didn't retaliate was that Pliers was only the second strongest in business college. The top boss was Three-Tooth, who wielded a terrifying three-pronged weapon. Their school often had to pay protection fees to business college because of him. But now that they had Baihu, the task of defeating Three-Tooth fell to Shatai, while the bullies handled Pliers. And the third guy, Wrench. Shatai panicked. Fighting Three-Tooth was suicide. Then he got inspiration from a history class where the teacher said that weak kings divert attention by declaring war to mask their incompetence. So Shatai rallied all the students who had been bullied by business college. Fired up, they launched an assault on business college's campus, smashing through the gates and flooding in, beating the students senseless while Shatai hid in the back, giving orders and concealing his lack of skill. When Da-chun knocked out Pliers, Shatai jumped in and landed a few hits too, then arrogantly challenged Three-Tooth, who immediately responded. Luckily, Da-juang and others arrived and claimed that Shatai was too good for a one-on-one. The battle was a landslide victory. As they left, Shatai warned that if they bullied anyone again, more than just the sophomore class would come next time. The students cheered for him like a hero, even carrying him around. The campus belle admired him even more. But glory comes at a cost. The real Yashan Baihu had now fully recovered and transferred to Shatai's class. The bullies didn't recognize him yet and cornered him in the restroom, trying to provoke him, but he stayed calm. Shatai intervened and stopped them, already suspecting who he really was. To confirm, he followed him home and learned through a conversation that Baihu had partial memory loss from their bike accident. Suddenly, the three bullies from business college appeared to take revenge, not knowing Baihu stood beside Shatai. Baihu attacked first, knocking out Wrench in 2 punches. Their leader ran in fear. Shatai sighed with relief that Baihu still didn't remember him. Life returned to normal, and weak students finally had peace, but some bullies secretly started collecting protection money again. Shatai called a meeting and scolded them, earning respect. However, money was tight. During a date with the campus belle at a fancy restaurant, he realized he couldn't afford anything and made an excuse to borrow 2,001 from Da-juang. Baihu overheard and gave them money without question. While Shatai was enjoying love, Da-juang and Chiang-ni were beaten by Baihu, who realized everything upon being ambushed by the 3 business college goons again. 2 blows to the head triggered all his lost memories, including how Shatai had caused his injury. Now fully awakened, Baihu beat them all, then warned Da-chun not to reveal his identity. Meanwhile, Shatai was worrying about money, only to be surprised when Baihu handed him a wad of cash without saying a word. From then on, the campus belle got even closer to Shatai. But one night, he saw Zhi Ying surrounded by thugs. He stepped in, remembering how she'd protected him all his life. He boldly claimed to be Yashan Baihu again, scaring the thugs away. But little did he know, this was the last time he could use that name. The next day was the student council election. Both bullies and weaklings backed Shatai, and life was looking up. Until Baihu also confessed to the campus belle, she fell for him, and Shatai saw it all. Heartbroken, he planned to retaliate by asking Da-chun to mess with Baihu during the election. During the meeting, Da-chun dragged Baihu outside and tried to fight, but was quickly defeated. It was the biggest regret of his life. Meanwhile, Shatai continued his speech, not knowing Baihu would return with Da-chun in hand, exposing Shatai's real identity. Zhang Bingtai from Wenyang, not the real Baihu. Shatai tried to flee but was caught and humiliated, forced to buy dinner and insulted by his former brothers. Baihu forced him to admit the truth in front of the campus belle, who slapped him and left. Crushed, Shatai wandered aimlessly and was beaten again by the 3 business college goons. Only Beast Monkey still stood by him. The next day, Shatai tried to collect protection money but got beaten by Beast Monkey. Baihu watched and smiled. Shatai snapped and attacked Beast Monkey with a chair, leading to hospital apologies and deep regret. He vowed never to be a bully again, yet Baihu made him move his throne to the school's backyard as a joke. Only Ji Ying helped him, telling him to fight back. When Baihu said only strong people are respected, Ji Ying proved him wrong with a surprise attack that floored him. Meanwhile, Shatai got the idea to let Baihu become student president, hoping power would make him responsible. During the election, Shatai promised to lose on purpose, but fate had other plans. The votes came in and Shatai accidentally won. Baihu thought Shatai had tricked him again and beat him into a coma. While his parents apologized, Shatai's father was furious. Baihu's mom begged for forgiveness, but Baihu's eyes were filled with fury. Later, Shatai learned Baihu had reported his father's illegal nightclub. Enraged, he charged to Da Zhuang's place with a stick, but was easily beaten again. That night, Shatai vowed revenge and began training under Ji Ziying. He learned to fight smart, using lube to escape Da Zhuang's grip, though Da Zhuang eventually caught him using ash for friction. A headbutt saved him at the last moment. Then he put on a dragon mask and began beating each bully one by one. The legend of Blue Dragon was born. As the bullies panicked, they tried to identify him by searching bags, but Beast Monkey helped hide Shatai's mask. Next up was Da Chun, the weakest of them all. Shatai easily defeated him. He then saw White Tiger slap a weak kid for no reason. Burning with anger, Shatai knew it wasn't time for revenge yet. He faked conceding the presidency. A celebration was held, and they got Baihu drunk. That night, 6 blue dragons ambushed him. One of them was Shatai. Baihu beat most of them, but when Shatai entered, the fight became even. For the first time, Baihu met his match. After an intense battle, Shatai elbowed him to the ground. Baihu begged for mercy. Shatai removed his mask and told him the pain of the weak is something only the weak understand. He was no longer the scared boy. He was now Blue Dragon, but his kindness remained. As Ziying had said, true respect comes from kindness, not fists. Shatai had finally earned that respect, and with this scene, the drama comes to an end. If you enjoyed this drama, don't forget to subscribe and like the video.